the short-term deals. I felt because of what happened recently in my life, I needed a second opinion. We have always been very committed to our relationship. In fact, my wife and I just got back from our 20th anniversary trip in Europe and had a wonderful time. However, one day, due to a scheduling error in our train trip, we didn't get to sit next to each other for the 2-hour train ride. I didn't think anything of it until later when she confessed that night that a hot guy was flirting with her the whole time on the train, wanted to take her with him, wanted to do stuff on the train with her, even leaned in and kissed her. She told me she said no, but that it was hard for her and she didn't want it to stop either. She said she was flattered by a guy 8 years younger hitting on her and it made her feel good. She also said that she didn't want to say no, but said what helped her was our 2 kids, family, and the fact we were on our 20th anniversary vacation. She's been hit on or whistled at in years past, and I've just laughed it off because she has. But this was the first time I felt really hurt, mainly because she actually had to contemplate the situation and really didn't want it to end. She never thought to get up and find a different seat because she didn't want to. We've talked about this several times since it happened and have had open, calm communication, which I feel has helped, even though it has hurt to hear some of her feelings. In fact, the other night she confessed to me that she really didn't want to forget that memory because she liked the way she felt. That's what really concerns me. She feels so bad about it, how it makes me feel, and knows I have always been a true and loving husband and father. We feel it could be due to a lack of passion, spark, intimacy that may tend to fizzle through the years of marriage. I shower her with affection daily. I don't know what more I can do to reinvigorate the electric passion we had when we were dating 20 years ago. Am I overreacting to flirting, or is this a genuine red flag for a deeper emotional disconnect in our relationship? Any thoughts or suggestions? I'm looking for more of a constructive approach to this situation, which is why I am here. Is there something that happens at 20 years of marriage that tells one to check out emotionally? What specific constructive advice can help? Is it lack passion, desire, spark, intimacy, etc.? I tend to think, as well as her, that the disconnect is lack of excitement. We're too busy with the day-to-day mundane stuff, work, kids divided by etc., that it tends to crowd out time just to have a one-on-one conversation, because by the time we do in the evening, we're too tired and want to flop in front of a TV or go to bed. I'd like to think our marriage is solid. We have always been faithful, been respectful, appreciative, and supportive of each other. She has been an excellent mother and I am so grateful to have her. We tell each other we love each other every day. We feel we have such a strong relationship already, which is why it's so concerning to me. I do not believe my wife had any deceptive or malicious intent in this situation. She was flattered, liked the attention of being pursued, and liked being in the position to say no. I do believe our routine has contributed to our decline in marital spark. Honestly, my feelings have been a mess with this, as this has never happened to me before. I feel betrayed that she wasn't quick to reject it. I feel guilty that maybe I had been lacking in some respect in our marriage. I feel like I deserved it if I was neglecting her emotionally some way. She liked something new, different, exciting. I get that. It's hard not to notice a hot woman in public and not take a double take. But that's as far as I take it, as I don't think a woman would ever hit on me. In fact, I'd be shocked if that had happened to me on that train. Maybe I need to work on giving her that new, different, exciting spontaneity. The thing my wife comes back to when we talked was it just seemed flattering, exciting, and different. At 42 years of age and constantly feeling insecure about her looks, which she has no room to complain about, she felt so sexy in that moment to this guy. She told me she expects me, her husband, to say those things, but to hear it validated by some Italian guy 8 years younger felt better. She's being honest with me and with herself, even though the honesty hurts. She insists that the flirting was one-sided, yet she admits she didn't want it to stop, even though she would tell him to. I do feel that as part of the marital vow and union I committed to, continuing to express love for my wife was as inherent as a husband, regardless of if sometimes it's easier to say than others. I never thought about the idea of my affection being invalidated by her feeling better from this man. Ouch, that hurt. But maybe I needed to hear that. That's why I came. While I do not condone what my wife did, I think I must clarify to many here some details regarding some of my earlier statements. The kiss to which I refer was one of which was unwarranted and unexpected. He leaned over to her quickly while she was looking out the window and kissed her on the cheek. She did not see it coming. However, rather than make a big scene about it and leave, as I would have hoped, she calmly said, "Don't do that." Additional affection to which I refer included him putting his hand on her thigh on multiple occasions. She said she would take his hand immediately and say, "Don't do that." Again, as I say, it was multiple occasions and she said no, but inside it was hard for her to say no too. All the while, between his affectionate words and actions, and her verbal refusals back to him, she confesses that her thoughts were one of difficulty. She says that it was hard to say no because she wanted it to continue, even though she didn't either. It confused her emotions. She was torn because she loved the romance, the affection, the spontaneity, the different man. Something I can't give her. I don't agree with it being labeled infidelity. I think that's a bit of an extreme label for this case. I think this is a case of extreme flattery that took her emotions somewhere she had not gone before. I can say our communication has exponentially increased since this happened. We have been able to talk about our feelings in a way unlike any other. Someone had posed a question about our physical life, and yes, while I may feel it's a bit lacking or at least has room for improvement, I don't want to put any undue pressure on her, as I know this is an area she has little interest anyways, always has. We have made arrangements to speak with 2 trusted friends, who have successful marriages themselves, just to get some feedback from them. We know we can get through this, and I believe with continued support of each other and open communication, this will be a thing of the past. One revelation she brought up yesterday that kind of threw me was that she wanted to meet with them privately without me, because she didn't want to hurt my feelings any more than she already had. While her intent seemed sincere in sparing my feelings, I wasn't quite sure how to take it. After all, at this point, why would she want to do that unless there was something else she wasn't telling me? I told her I wanted her to be comfortable in whatever setting she felt, but at the same time, I feel this is an us issue and I should be in the room too. She's a very emotional person, so recognizing that this is an emotional turmoil right now may be her way trying to spare me any more hurt. But again, that may be her way of saying, I have more to say that I don't want you to hear. If that's the case, I see our communication and my trust going downhill. We both feel that those whom we have invited, while we know them, we agree that they would be neutral and respectful in this situation. They are very caring, respectful, mature adults who have successful marriages of their own. Our children are 13 and 10. My wife does work part-time, self-employed out of the house. Her work gives her a little outlet out of the house to break free from the monotony of being mom, housewife, homeschool teacher for the kids. It's good for her. She did not exchange any information with the OM, no cell number, no social media accounts, nothing. I believe her when she admits it was a horrible mistake and has tainted our anniversary trip memories. As far as our physical life, she has never really been one to long for it or get overly excited for it. It's more of I know he likes it and needs it and I want to make my husband happy. I never ask for it, as I only want to do it when she's in the mood, so I wait patiently on her, usually once a week, maybe. While not going into too much detail, all I can say is it's fairly perfunctory and routine. I may see a piece of lingerie on her once a year, if I'm lucky. Would I like it to be more? Sure, but I don't want to come across as demanding and selfish, especially since she's not really into it. It's more for my husband's pleasure, in her mind. The reality of the situation is, while not condoning her behavior, I know my wife and know the good that she has done over the past 20 years of our marriage. It's a little unfair that I have only unloaded the negative of her on you, based on this one-time occasion for which I have sought advice. So, it can be easy for you guys to develop a little bit of a negatively biased view towards her. I understand that. You have only seen the bad, but I have seen the good, and I believe there is hope that can be seen through this with effort on both our parts. She works as a notary public part-time out of the house. She's mobile with that job though, traveling within about an hour's drive to various places. The pay is decent, but it's more of an outlet for her, getting out of the house, kids and responsibilities. It's good for her. She's just a high school grad, no college, no professional training. I think this occasion was the wake-up call. The emotional attention she received was enough to clue her into what could have happened, and she stopped it. She saw the inevitable, and it shocked her into the possibility of the infidelity that we've only ever heard about, but never personally experienced ourselves. She allowed the flattery because she liked how she felt, but it was in no way an affair. Obviously, nuking our relationship is a bit extreme. As to what she has offered to do and change, really it has opened up our communication more than ever, and she is as willing to discuss with others for constructive help. I would be more concerned if she just wanted to sweep it under the rug. But at least she has demonstrated to me a willingness to improve our marriage, passion, intimacy, spark, whatever you want to call it. I know I'll never be able to give what that OM did, because what he gave was himself, a different person. I am not different, I am the one she's used to. I want to be a gentleman to her, but how do I be more assertive, persistent without coming off desperate? My comment, I would call it an infidelity, albeit a minor infidelity, because once she realized what was happening, she not only went along for the ride, but willingly reciprocated. She loved the excitement of it and told you about it because she wants to have that excitement with you. Perhaps she wanted to make you a little jealous in order to get you out of your gentlemanly shell. She wants you to show your attraction and desire for her more openly, not necessarily violently. That guy was not violent or scary. He was open, assertive, and persistent. That is what she wants. Story 2. I have been with my husband for 13 years, married 8. We have 3 children. I am very outspoken. He is not. He does not share his feelings at all. He didn't start out this way. It just got worse as we got older. The last year has been bad. We went through different therapists, but none of them were too helpful. They did agree when I told them I thought a separation would be good for us, maybe 2 weeks. Well, my husband would never do it. In July, we were trying to make things work. He told our therapist he was in for trying 100%. Even more than me. We were trying, but him ignoring me at home got bad and I got really mad. I told him to go and he finally did. After a week of barely talking, I called him to see what we should do to move forward and he said he is done. I was heartbroken, I still am. For weeks now, he keeps telling me he is not angry or anything but he is done. He says he wants me to be happy but does not feel at all that he wants to try again. Ever. I'm so upset and confused. He doesn't talk to anyone. He tells his family he doesn't want to talk about it and they should leave it alone. Everyone around us is confused about how he is acting. He talks about going to get divorced now so that we can be done with everything. There is nobody else, he has told me and everyone. He just wants to be alone. The last week we didn't talk. It was good. But this weekend, we had to see each other because of kids' activities. We talked normally yesterday but then today, he had to remind me that we are done. I think he is trying to hurt me because he blames me for everything. I don't think he takes any blame. He will not see a therapist because he does not think there is anything wrong with how he feels or his actions. You can see he is angry but just pushes it down. Over the last month, he has talked to me about our marriage, our problems, even happy times, but he will not open up about how he really feels about it or why he is so done. It makes me feel awful to not matter to him anymore. What do you think is going on with him? Why is he so quick to divorce or why does he want to hurt me? I would love to hear from men about this. Stories, advice, anything. Please, no mean comments. Thank you. I would also like to add that, for the past month until now, he will not talk about the future. He doesn't want to talk about the holidays. I had to make the schedule, which is very fair for both of us and the kids. We also never talked about seeing other people. I said this to him when we first separated because you are supposed to talk about things like this. He says he is seeing nobody and doesn't want to talk about me seeing other people, which I am not doing. I guess because he is done I should assume sleeping with other people is okay. I am open and honest about what I need and want. When I noticed he was not showing me as much love and attention, I would say something. I would also ask about him and what was going on, what he needed, but he would just shut down. His parents had a rough relationship when he was younger. His mother, who is not like me, had issues, while his dad would just cover them up and act like nothing happened. I would tell him he needs to be open and honest with me, that I wouldn't be like his parents. I would also like to add that he may not have agreed with the therapist about separation, but he constantly talks about doing things they told him to do that I don't agree with. Also, he doesn't seem happy at all. He is working more than ever, I think, to avoid thinking about us. He's not doing anything to make himself happy. Everyone says how angry he seems all the time. According to him, he does not blame me for anything. He also says he is not angry, but nobody would believe that. He still shuts down, even now when he says he is done. I mean, he can't hurt me much more than I am now. I was never mean when I told him what I wanted. It actually started off as me being concerned about us. We were spending as much time together and I wanted to fix it. I was not intense at all in the beginning. It did get more intense as time went on and he continued to not talk about our issues or do anything about them. Culture is not an issue at all. I don't want anyone to think I don't take blame. I always say to him that this is 50-50. I told him to leave because he did nothing to fix our marriage. I'm not saying he should have fought back, I'm saying he could have. I don't blame him for leaving. I blame him for not being open and honest with his wife before or after he left. I know what I did. If my husband would have said, if I leave, I'm done, maybe I would have thought more about it. But he didn't. He did nothing and I couldn't take it anymore. He knew then and knows now that I love him, but he is punishing me and I still don't have answers. Going to the therapist. We did. I initiated it. I was feeling a little unhappy and unfilled. I told him about my concerns. He didn't say much. He said he is happy with the kids. I asked him what would make him happier, for himself and for us. He said he didn't know. He says I don't know a lot. Maybe he didn't think he deserved 100% happiness, but he did. He still does, and I would always have done what he wanted just to see him happy. I have thought for a while that this could be an issue, depression. I have talked to him about while we were together and once while separated. I go to doctors, therapy when I know I need to get things taken care of. He never does. He went a couple years ago for a physical after I suggested it. He has high BP and cholesterol. Not enough for meds, but he is supposed to get it checked every 6 months but doesn't. It makes me worry. I also think he could be depressed or something. I don't know. I even tell him now, if only for himself and the kids, see a therapist. He refuses. He says nothing is wrong. He thinks the way he feels is fine, even though me and the kids are not dealing well. I would have never talked about my husband in a negative way in front of anyone. In fact, most of our friends were shocked to hear we separated. When things were getting bad, I only told a couple close friends and family to get advice. I appreciate my husband and all he does to support us. It's his lack of emotions and communication that messed us up. I'll admit, his silence sometimes made me aggressive and say things I regret, but I started seeing my own therapist to get all of that under control and it has helped a lot. Therapy has helped me understand my husband more too. Here's the thing, my husband could very well be broken. He is not the man I married. He changed. He used to be outgoing, caring, loving, etc. If he was like this when I met him, I would not have been attracted to him. I try to help him get back to or close to who he was, not only for me and the kids but for himself. I didn't need reassurance. I just needed some. He went from a man who told me all the time to not as much. Someone who gave me so much time and attention to wanting to be alone. Sometimes he seemed sad, but it was like he couldn't share because that's not what men do. We never had really good exercises to try. I thought that if we got a break from each other, we would find a therapist we both like and keep going, but decided he was done when he left the house. He loved me when we were in therapy. I could tell. I would still do things to make him happy even when things were really bad. I would bring him food and coffee to work on days he had to work late. I would make his favorite dinners. He would always thank me too. We had true love, we just got lost somewhere. I always and still do want him to be happy. I am trying very hard to just think of my kids and myself, even though I am hurting and confused about all of this. My husband has said in the past that he knows he has changed and wants to be happy again. I hope in the future he will think that again and seek advice from a professional who can help him get there. He says he is fine but gets mad at a lot. More than he did when he lived in the house. And if he's so fine, done with our marriage and only worried about the kids, then why doesn't he stick to our schedules? Why does he not answer when our son calls him even if he thinks it's me? I don't call him anymore. Everything is text or our calendar app that I made him download. I try to distance myself, but I am forced to contact him when he doesn't tell me about changes in the schedule 20 minutes before. Why can't he stick to things? I am having a crappy night. Nothing new has really happened. Talked to my husband on the phone earlier, a mistake. He reminded me that he is done. I just don't understand. He talks divorce. Less than 3 months ago he wanted to work on us. Now he's just done. He says we're just not compatible. Says he's not angry and it just didn't work out. Like we have been dating for a month and it is ending. But that's not the case. We are married and I have no answers. I think he really is angry and he hates me a little. I think I hurt him and now he is hurting me. But when does it stop? I have a therapist and I am working on myself. I have even apologized to him for a lot of it. When he left, I was able to relax and breathe. I was able to reflect and see where we were really going wrong. We were both wrong. The things are, I admit it, and I don't think he does. I think he blames me for all of it, which is unfair. Until he can look at the things we have been through and understand that we were both at fault, I don't think we can ever fix things. It seems that he is done because he blames me and wants to get through to me that we are done. If there were someone else, why wouldn't he tell me? He knows I would get mad, but then I would be done with him for being with someone else. The thing that I regret the most is allowing myself to get so angry and say some things sometimes that weren't nice. I definitely think he feels disrespected. I wish I could fix it, but I can't. As far as cheating, I don't believe for a second he did while we were living together. When I've asked him about it now, because I would like to know where we stand and how that works, he does not want to talk about it and insists that there is nobody else. Of course, things run through my head from time to time, but I believe him. So do other people. I truly feel that this is all anger. And even if he wants to say that maybe in the future we could try again, he just can't bring himself to do it. Even if he is unhappy, working like crazy, missing me and the kids, he will not admit it. I also believe that he is doing a lot of this to hurt me. Does this make sense? I can see why men want to be respected and not be put down. In my defense, I just wanted answers. I wanted to know why he was changing and what I could do to help him, but he would never answer me. Him deciding to hold things in and not make him happy affected me. For example, a couple years ago I got pregnant. We are not trying, but we were happy, especially me. I was excited. Unfortunately, at 9 weeks I had a miscarriage. I'm sure that this affected him, but because he decided to shut down and not talk about it, he was also not there for me. I went through it alone and it really hurt me. When we will go to therapy, he would say that I will never be able to forgive him for things like this. I told him I definitely could forgive him, but I needed to know why he treated me like that so that it wouldn't happen again in the future. I wanted to be able to handle things like that better in the future. Like with a lot of men, I think he is an all-or-nothing person. Another example is if he went out with friends one night and came home at 2 in the morning and I suggested maybe next time he come home a little earlier because it's a weekday, he would say fine, I'm there, just won't go out anymore. I feel like that's how he's treating our relationship. Instead of him having to open up, communicate, be honest, and work to save our marriage, he would rather just say I'm hurt and I'm done. Does this make sense to you? Can you relate? Right now, I'm giving us space. I think it's good for us even though he says he'll never change his mind. I don't get straight answers. All I get is that he is done. And you know what? We're both guilty. Neither one of us did anything horrible to the other one, we just had poor communication. All I ever needed answers as to why he was acting the way he was and shutting down all of the time, because he never used to be like that when we were first together. So now, I still don't have the answers from when we were living together, and now, I don't have the answers as to why he's done all of a sudden. He wouldn't say it's all of a sudden. He would say it's been building up for a while now. But just in July, we were in therapy and he was 100% into working on our marriage. I truly believe he is acting this way because he had to leave his home. He needs to get help and get over it and realize that his irrational decisions are going to lead to him losing his wife and his family. We will be a broken home because he won't open up and try one more time to make this. Update: things are not really any better for us. As long as I keep my distance from my husband, I am okay. It is very hard to move on when it is not what I want. My husband still says he's done and it just didn't work for us, but offers no real reason. He will go to therapy but only wants to go to the one we went to when he still lived home, and I don't feel comfortable with her. My husband has a way of sitting there with his sad puppy face while I speak my mind, and it feels that they tend to side with him. Anyway, we tried a new therapist and he got mad when she asked about our marriage. I was shocked to see him get this angry in front of her. She needs background information to help us. He thinks that we can go there and she can just magically tell us how to be good parents without knowing what we've been through or what we are going through now. I don't understand how my husband can wipe his hands of our marriage so easily. He says that he misses the family. I can tell that he wants to be here with the kids, but he does nothing to better himself or better us. What I mean by that is that he does not go to therapy and does not put effort into making schedules. I do all of this. He will also ask me if I want him to see the kids instead of asking me if he can see them. He is very confusing. The only emotion my husband ever shows now is anger. He was never an angry person, and I really wish I knew what was going on with him. I am also trying to help myself the best that I can. It's very hard. I admit that I had my faults in our marriage, but I'm getting help for it and I have apologized to my husband. All he does is blame me. It's embarrassing to tell people about what's going on. People that have known my husband and me for a long time cannot believe that he is acting this way. They know that he is not that kind of man. I feel ashamed and embarrassed when I have to tell people what is going on. I feel like a loser and I feel upset thinking that my husband would just be done with me. He doesn't care what I do or if I move on with other men. Why won't he just express himself? What should I do? This is affecting our children, mostly our 7-year-old, and I am really trying to figure things out and make things as normal as I can. After months of asking for a trial separation, we got into a fight and I told him to leave and give us a break. He is angrier now than he was when he lived at home. It is the only emotion he allows me to see and I don't understand why. I am 34, he is 30. I don't think there is anyone else. He does work a lot. I also suspect that he is drinking a lot more. I am doing better with the contact, only for the kids or house things like bills. I also have been working on myself and it has been really helping. Update: things are not better. I have tried everything I can. I have followed my heart. I have taken advice from many of you, my therapist and friends, but my husband is just not my husband anymore. He slowly became this new person, and as much as I tried to stop it, he didn't. He doesn't seem very happy. People tell me all of the time that he looks so drained and defeated. I filed papers for court to establish child support and joint custody, and he didn't care. He actually thought I went to file for divorce, and he still didn't care. I am a mess over this, but I cannot change him. As much as I think that he has things going on, possibly depression, I cannot force him to do a thing. He says it took a long time to get here, but just 4 months ago, we were sitting in a therapy session with him telling a therapist that he was 100% in this and ready to fight for our marriage. When I told him to leave after a huge fight, temporarily, not permanently, I think it hurt him. I know it hurt him. I think it hurt his heart and his pride, but he has done nothing to come back. He tells me what I did wrong when we talk about it. He blames me whenever we talk. He also tells me he misses the family. I try to tell him that we could get that back. I tell him that we are married, we took vows, and if we worked hard enough, there is a chance we could be happy again. He shuts me down right away. I am not innocent in all of this, but I have tried. I have talked, cried, screamed. I have given him space. I have tried to hug him and nothing ever works. He doesn't want to be near me. I can no longer take the rejection and heartbreak. I will continue to go to therapy for me and my kids, but I can no longer fight for him. I don't think he will ever change. I don't think he will ever try to change. I have also made the decision to cut communication. I think things would be slightly easier if it weren't the holiday season. He tells me he is done. He doesn't care that I filed paperwork. And will he ever change? Will he ever wake up and see what he is losing? He is still in the work mode routine. He just works and works. He tells me he misses the family but doesn't try to see the kids as much as he could because he keeps taking side jobs. I tell him we could try again at a happy family, but he doesn't want to. If a man is not cheating while you are married or separated, what is he doing? Or what could he be doing? This is assuming there is weird behavior. I have made the decision to give him space. I do not call or text him. We email so that we have time to think about our responses before we reply. I am the one who created a schedule for the next 6 weeks that he has yet to follow. I am doing what I can. I am also concerned about my husband's drinking. It is very excessive. We talked about it in therapy, but I know that until he wants help, there is nothing I can do. I am not lying when I say that we would sit in therapy when we lived together, and he would agree to work on things the way the therapist suggested. He ended up doing none of those things. Is he a hard worker? Yes. Does he provide for us financially? Yes. The problem is that consumes him. He shouts of his feelings and doesn't care about being happy. I want him to be happy. I want him to be successful. Even our therapist said to him that he puts up walls to not feel pain. I am not blaming him. We are both at fault. However, something's got to give. He just goes day by day and hopes things will change without doing the work. Even if right, it is to work on our relationships with the kids. He doesn't follow what the therapist says. It is very hard and confusing. I am still trying even though he tells me he is never going to change and even though he drinks vodka almost every day of the week. Right now, I am giving him the distance I think he needs. I have said this in a past post. I also went to court to get a permanent schedule in order because although he says he's done, he wants a divorce, he wants a schedule, he wants to see the kids as much as possible. He does not follow through with taking the right step to make these things happen. From our therapist's mouth he puts up walls so he doesn't have to feel anything and she is emotional about everything that is going on and it is perfectly normal. She sees both sides. She also sees that my husband has a drinking problem which allows him to not have too many feelings. She also says he needs to have more compassion for me. Maybe some of you should as well. I don't need pity, just advice. I also don't need reasons to blame or hate my husband. I just want to make things better even if it means we are never together again. My comment: you acted like you were in charge for years. You threw your husband out of your home. You ended your marriage. Deal with it and move on. This is not your husband's problem. You bullied him for years. You took him to court to get your way in child visitation. Why would he even consider coming back to you?